Hello and welcome to another English podcast with Paul. I hope you're well. I hope you're sitting comfortably. Nice to have you back. I've missed you. Where have you been? Okay, right. Now, what we're talking about today, we are talking about la mascotas, mascots. Now, mascots are very different in Europe compared to what they are in the UK. Mascots, also known as pets, dogs, cats, and things like that. So we're talking about pets, but I think the Spanish phrase is la mascota. Now, ironically, we use mascots when we are in a quiz. If we go to like a pub quiz, or if we're on the TV, university challenge, but often we have a little mascot, like emblem to represent something we like. Maybe it's a picture of the family. Often it's just like a teddy or a toy, like a toy dog or something like that. That's a mascot. We'll have a team mascot. Might be, you've seen American baseball and football games. They'll have a mascot. And often the person will be dressed up in a costume of that mascot, meaning friendly, happy representation of who they are. Maybe the Lions or the Cubs or something like that. So a mascot representing an image of who they are or what they want to project. But la mascota, we're getting off subject. La mascota, pets. So today we're talking about pets. Pets of animals, pets of dogs and cats and things like that. All right, so let's jump in. I've prepared a little bit and I've read a little bit and I've done some of that amazing deep dive research that I do. I don't really do lots and lots of research. Anyway, so pets. Now, I think pets are very interesting subject because everybody seems, a lot of people, especially in the UK, like pets, love animals. Not so much, I believe, in Asia. Now, yes, there are lots of pets in Asia, and I've seen dogs and cats in Asia as pets, but often they're not deemed as culturally native to people of Asia. It's kind of like something they've taken from the West. Ironically, although pets sort of stem back quite often to ancient Egypt times or other times in Asia of China times, Ming dynasties and things like that. So it's kind of left from Asia and now is coming back to Asia. That's my thoughts. Right. So like I said, I've done some research and I've even written out some notes. Written? I nearly said written. Written. I've written out some notes. Well, typed them. And I'll put some pictures on this time to make it a bit more interesting if you're watching. So some of the audience like to watch and some people like to just listen to my voice. I don't know why my voice is so interesting, but there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to switch it across and you can see the little pictures I've done now and a little bit of writing. So pets, la mascota. At the end of the day, most people like pets for companionship. I can see that. I can understand why, and we'll get into more of that in a moment. But yeah, it's all right to have a companion. There are drawbacks of having a companion, I suppose. But like it says here, sometimes we feel stronger towards our pets. We have that affection towards pets than what we do to our own family. And maybe there's reasons for that. One of the reasons, as it says here, that our dogs and pets don't judge us. They don't go, "Oh, no, you're a bad person." They don't have that conversation. Pets are animals that generally don't speak. So I guess we're grateful in that regard that they don't tell us how upset or fed up or angry they are with us. All right. So they want our comfort and we want to comfort them. So pets are a really, really big thing in the West. All right. So I got a little picture there of a little dog. I'm not sure if that's a Chihuahua, but he doesn't look very happy. He's got his ears back. And a nice little putty cat. All right. So let's start with dogs. So apparently it releases oxytocin when you touch a dog. Even just looking at a picture of a dog I mean, how cool is that? Just looking at a picture of a dog releases oxytocin, you know, that feel-good hormone inside. Makes you feel happy and warmth. I don't know whether it's the fur, you know, the texture of fur on your hands, or whether just like the heartbeat or the movement of another creature, another animal, especially if it's happy to see you and it's not running away. Because that's generally the what's the word? That's generally the thing that happens if we go towards a wild animal, like if you saw a deer or a rabbit or some other animal in the wild or a bird, it would run away from us, and for good reason too, because generally we're trying to catch animals and kill them and eat them. Anyway, so pets, we like pets a lot. That oxytocin, that feel good, that energy, the non-judgmental, that warmth and that happiness. Our animals normally give that impression that they're really happy to see us. Now, whether or not they just want food or they want attention, who's to say? But generally, most people believe that animals are happy to see us. Our animals are happy to see us. Okay, so they can also help with you stop feeling lonely as well as making you feel good. Okay, over time, domesticated to lead to changes in physical sizes, behavior, and characteristics. Yeah, because there's some lots of different researchers. Some say that we came from foxes. Some say we come from wolves, or just wild dogs. I'm not sure. But a little bit of the research is a little bit conflicting. So you kind of have to make up your own mind. And we kind of, most of us understand that wild animals, dogs or wolves or foxes, came towards the fire for warmth and scraps of food, and then over hundreds of years, that bond of trust, where the dogs or wolves trust that we won't try to kill them and shoo them off, and in return they kind of maybe protected us by being an early warning system to other wild dogs or bears or other creatures trying to get our food or eat us as food. So there's a symbiotic relationship that happened over hundreds and hundreds of years. We've kind of got used to them. They've kind of got used to us. And so it kind of works. All right. I'll leave it for there, but I've got another feelings about that, which I've said in another video. So there's a symbiosis. Obviously now that I don't know if their jaws have become weaker. I mean, all right, we don't generally get bitten by them that often as and then discuss it, do we? But also their digestive system evolved apparently to be able to eat human food. Now, I don't know if I agree with that, because by nature dogs are scavengers. They're not plant eaters, herbivores, and they're not meat eaters, carnivores. They're a scavenger. So they can eat anything generally. They've got very strong stomachs. And the reason they got a strong stomach is because it's very, very short. The food comes in, it goes in their stomach, gives them the nutrients, and then it's out again within, I think, somewhere between 2 and 6 hours. So it's a short window compared to humans anyway. So they are natural scavengers. Okay, cats. Oh, let's have a look at that picture. So for those of you who are listening, there's a picture of like I would call a meadow or some grass, and there's some lovely little like small orange, I would call it flowers or part of weeds or something that's growing in the grass. But it looks very, very pretty. And then there's 2 fluffy little puppies. Now these puppies look like Labradors, and they're very, very cute. Now, that's another thing. Women especially find animals cute. But I think men like that loyalty and that commitment, I guess. Commitment. Excuse me, I'm scratching my eye. All right, yeah, so those puppies are pretty. We all seem to like puppies, especially children like puppies and kittens and things like that. You know, they're so soft and adorable. Okay, moving on. Cats, right. The early ancestors today of domesticated cats spread from the southwest of Asia and into Europe in the 44,000 BC, 4400 BC. The cats likely started hanging around the farming communities in the Fertile Crescent about 8,000 years ago, where they settled into a mutually beneficial relationship with humans as rodent pest control. So that's very similar to the dogs in that respect, and that they sort of hang out near the warmth, near the food, near where the smaller creatures are that they would have eaten. So having food around us, maybe seeds, for example, or other things that we've gathered, and then for the little rodents to try and come and get their feast, and then the bigger animals like the cats would have chased the little ones like the mice. So yeah, again, a symbiotic relationship seemed to work really well. Now, I do know from reading of other articles recently that some dogs and cats were bred over many, many centuries to be almost like a hot water bottle. Now, if you don't know what a hot water bottle is, we have it quite often here in the West, especially in England, where it's wet and cold a lot of the year. Now, in England, many people do not have air conditioning. We have central heating, which is often gas-fired or electric, to warm the house up in the evening and in the morning. But generally, during the day, we don't have any heating on. And then become the winter, it becomes expensive. You have to put some heating on for longer. And so this country is very, very cold. And like I said, no air conditioning. It's not really a thing in the UK. So these animals were bred over a long time to keep the body warm, whether snuggled up inside your gown or lying on your bed where your feet are. They act as a water bottle. So a water bottle is quite a wide and flat rubber bottle. The lid is quite tight, and it's obviously watertight. You don't want it coming out in the night. And then there's often a big, fluffy, soft cover that goes all up around, except for the spout of this bottle. Now, they're fairly cheap, like $5, and you can get all sorts of fluffy patterns for them, like a cat or a dog looking cover. Bit odd, I guess. All right, anyway, water bottles. And you put boiling hot water in it. And then it stays hot for a few hours. And you put it in your bed at night. There we go. Many people actually use a hot water bottle when they have stomach cramps. Especially ladies with stomach cramps at certain times of the month really like to have a water bottle in our country, in this country. Okay, so cats, yeah, symbiotic relationship, rodent control. So rodent is the name of a pest for small creatures that scurry around. A rodent like a rat or a mouse, a shrew, things like that. All right, so then there's a pretty picture of a cat, really close cat, looking right into the eyes, staring at the camera. Just a regular cat, big ears. There you go, looks like it's on a bed or something. Okay. Rats. Now, you might not think this, and especially people in Asia might not understand this, but rats are quite a popular pet in the UK. You can go to a pet shop and buy domesticated rats. Now, it's said that they're very, very intelligent. Well, it is said that, but I believe that they are very intelligent. My daughter, when she was younger, had pet rats, and she had a cage, and she was able to play with it and stroke it and, teach it a few things. And so they're fairly clean. They have fun. They run around their little their cage and things like that. And they're quite interesting things to have. There are often young people these days take them outside and walk around or go out with them, and it sort of keeps their net warm, keeps them entertained. I don't know what the reasons. Anyway, so yeah, they're quite popular as a pet. You can buy toys for your rats, like I said, in the pet shop, and buy specific food for the rats and things like this, and bedding and way to build bigger cages, more elaborate and interesting for the welfare of the rat. Okay, so there's difference between the two different colors. The two rat species that have lived long. Intimidate historical history with mankind. Brown rat, Rattus novroguscus, and the black rat, Rattus rattus. That made me laugh because there used to be a TV show back in the late 90s called Rattus, Ratty in the Cupboard or something like that. Rattus rattus. Okay. Modern pet rats are descendants of the wild brown rats, which they come in a variety of colours. White is a very popular colour for rats, as for pet rats. So spelling there is Americanisms. All right. I don't have any problem with American spelling. I don't have a problem with... I do find that Grammarly spell checks a lot of my stuff. Tries to change it to American spelling or American grammar and structure. So sometimes you may see some differences there. All right. It was... wild historical rats were viewed as disease-ridden. Yes, because rats did carry plagues around from one place to another. And then this goes back to the video I did. I'll link it up above. With Brothers Grimm. All right, you remember Brothers Grimm? And one of the stories was about... story about tales that we say to our children at night and where it came from. And then in that story, I discussed about witches. What women were deemed to be witches were often single women with cats, and the cats would often keep away the rats. Anyway, so there's a link there between rats, cats, rodents, pets. All right. So if you've got a pet cat, then you're less likely to have rats, which would then less likely to give you the bubonic plague or the Black Death or other diseases. So if you had a cat, you're more likely to live longer and better because you wouldn't get disease. Hence why the other people in the towns would see that you've got cats and you're not dying when everybody else is. So therefore you must be a witch. Okay, right. I'm not a witch. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Who knows? Rats. There we go. That's the pretty little rats. Very clean and fluffy looking. All right. Not at all like Tom and Jerry. Although Jerry is a mouse. What's the difference between a mouse and a rat? Well, a rat is bigger than a mouse. A rat is generally a little bit furry, whereas mice tend not to be. And I'm sure there's a few other differences. You could tell me in the comments below. Difference between a mice... All right, now there's another can of worms, you might say. Can of worms? It's a euphemism we use for a can that you open up and all these worms come out. So something you open up and talk about with lots and lots of issues and problems that then proceed to come out and be more problematic. You're like, I've opened a can of worms. So it's not really worms. So what was I saying? Mice. The difference between mice and rats. Now, the can of worms is the term mice. So 1 is a mouse. 2 are mice. All right, not mices. Mice running around. No, mice. Plural. Singular is a mouse. All right, let's move on. Move along before I get myself confused. Okay, guinea pigs. Now, I didn't realize this, but guinea pigs were the inhabitants of Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and the Andes began domesticating these wild animals around 5000 BCE. I'm not talking about BCE, but just BC. In Peru, they were kept for food. The little animals appeared in folk art and handicrafts between 500 BC and 500 CE. Now, I would say AD, before 500 years BC, before Christ, as we used to say in the UK, before Christ, and then 500 years AD, Anno Domini. Now, I'm pretty sure that's Latin for after Christ or after the Common Era, something like that. But they say now BCE, all right? So there's no religious connotations. It's not connected to religion. Before Common Era. It used to be BC, before Christ. Now before Common Era is what publications and people tend to use these days. And then, I don't know what the CE is, but it would have been AD. Anno Domini, something like that. Now, if you know, let me know in the comments. You're a better person than I. Okay. Right, guinea pig. There we go. There's a pretty little guinea pig. Fluffy and round and, again, not extremely exciting. And I wouldn't say they're extremely intelligent. But they're just fluffy. Maybe it's one of these things that would be nice to have as a pet. A water bottle in your gown to keep you warm on a winter's night. They do make a lot of squeaking. And some guinea pigs and rats tend to be noisy at night. So if your child has one of these, I suggest you take it out of the room at night time, because all during the night it'd be and making all these noises all through the night. It can give you a very unsettled sleep. So very, very good tip there. Keep the animals out of the bedroom at night. All right, again, moving on. Next one is rabbits. Rabbits. Okay. Wild rabbits were widely thought to have been first tamed in 600 AD by French monks when they were prized as food and also as meat substitute during Lent. Now, how can that be a substitute for meat? When it comes from an animal, it is meat. I'm confused. Anyway, there's a picture here of some really sweet, fluffy rabbits eating some daisies and then some daisies in a row. It's a very pretty picture. That's why I chose it for those of you that like to watch. All right. Horses. Okay. Most people keep horses to ride them. So yeah, it's a big creature, right? To keep as a pet. You're not going to have it in your house. You might have it in your garden. Now, I apologize if I say this wrong, but travelers from certain descents, we have some in the UK, would often have these on common land, in a field or in their back garden, and they would use them to get around on, and it's part of their culture and their history. So I understand that. But why people that have a lot of money buy a horse for their child so they could ride it, I don't know, 3 times a week, and then as they get older, start ignoring it and leaving it in the field. And it's a huge beast. It's a huge beast, a horse, you know. And to have that paying for that animal, you know, and having to get shoes put on the horse, having to pay for the field, pay for food, pay for vets, pay for blankets and a shelter and water. And oh my goodness, I really can't fathom why you would have a pet horse. I mean, don't get me started on riding the thing when you shouldn't be doing that. And the accidents and injuries that happen to you whilst riding. My sister is testament for that, because she used to ride horses herself. And the accidents she's had. And I think to myself, it's not natural. But then you could go back thousands of years and say it is natural. Anyway, right, okay. Horses. Why would you have one as a pet? I really don't understand. Okay, moving on. What else we got? So, talking about pets in general, many people like them and state now that it actually helps their mental health. You know, they've got somebody to talk to, somebody to get up in the morning for, to stop them feeling lonely. You know, it gives them the companionship. It can help with anxiety. It can help with making sure you get up and go out and get some exercise with your animal. So pets really have made a place for themselves in our hearts and in our homes in the Western cultures. Really, really deep in our culture now, these pets, these animals. And, you know, they really do help, I think, bring a positive light to I don't know, our daily lives, you know, our well-being, our mental health, and lots of good points as well. So there's lots and lots of research to show how good it is to have a pet in your life and in your house. But on the flip side, because I like to play devil's advocate, I like to give you both sides of the story and not be too biased. I am biased because I'm human, but to try and show you the other side. I have had pets in the past. I think nearly all of my pets, except for one, has been a rescue animal. All right. So I feel validated that I've had pets. I know how to look after pets, and I can also tell you about the downside of pets. Now, one of the biggest downside is that pets are often very fluffy and exciting in the beginning, but after a few years, pets sometimes get grumpy and old and tired. They have illnesses that they need looking after all the time. It's really difficult to go on holiday with a pet. I mean, you can put a pet in a car and drive through, but nowadays, in the UK at least, and in Europe, you have to have like a pet passport, which is usable in Europe, but in the UK, now because of Brexit, don't get me started. Because of Brexit, we have to have paperwork in French or wherever we're going to land first to state when the last time the dog was wormed. And I think it's similar for a cat. When it was last wormed, his injections, and it's up to date. Now, I think that stays fairly relevant within Europe. But according to the British rules or the UK rules, that whenever you come back, you have to have the paperwork again coming back. So out and back. And then also if you're going into different borders or to different countries. So if I wanted to drive to, say, I don't know, the Netherlands, I would have to have it written by a vet there when it was given its worming. And then same for when it's coming back. And then same for leaving the UK and back. Oh, it gets complicated and expensive. It really does. Actually, we've got some friends that say it's better if you get the pet, if you buy or get the animal, whilst you're in a foreign country, because it's registered in that country and has the passport, and you only have to bring it back to the UK once. And then once you go back to Europe again, it's still got its passport. So it's much easier to get the pet whilst you're in a foreign country, in a European country. Who knew? Anyway, so the downsides to the pet, like I said, they do get older, they do get infirm, they do get tired and illnesses, and it gets very expensive, and looking after it when you want to go on a holiday. And also, if you want to travel, that can be a real problem. And so what I was going to talk about next is that how there's a lot of research about how pets are badly treated and why are pets badly treated. You know, the numbers I hope to be falling, but I don't think they will. Not with the standard of living in the UK and the way that things cost so much. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that is. You know, it's a real shame. It's a real shame. So, well, I just realised that the image has disappeared. So hopefully it wasn't gone the whole time. So yeah, having pets is amazing on one hand, but very sad in another. Sometimes, for example, just going off topic here, off piste. Sometimes a person dies or goes into hospital, and then you have to take the pet to the shelter, and that can be shameful to say that you can't accept the pet, that you can't look after a pet, and often you'd have to fill out paperwork, or the shelter would say, no, we're too full. Come back in a month's time or 2 weeks' time, and you think, well, maybe you can't have the pet because the person's died, or and maybe you can't have the pet because your landlord says no pets allowed, or something like that, and you're stuck with this pet. So it's actually not easy to get rid of a pet. That's why some people have let the dog go out into the street to be wild, which is a dangerous thing because often it causes accidents with cars or the dog becoming quite wild and feral and trying to hunt after other creatures or going through bins and making itself ill. So letting a dog go wild into the street in this society, in the UK, is a very bad idea. But then you get shamed and it's hard to give up a pet. It's really hard. Often when I wanted to get a pet, you often have to pay hundreds and hundreds up front. So it's a very treacherous waters. It's a very difficult situation to try and get a pet and spend thousands and thousands in getting the pet. Or trying to get rid of a pet that maybe was a family member that have died or got ill is a very sticky situation, very, very difficult. But like I say, in the UK, we seem to love pets. In the West, people love pets. And it's a shame that sometimes pets get hurt and injured and left out. And it's not their fault. They didn't ask for this. But that's a whole nother story. Right. So I just wanted to finish on a positive that most of all, animals and pets really do help human life elevated to be a happier and brighter place. People love pet photos. People love pet books and covers. And as a nation, we spend millions and millions, probably even billions, on pet care, pet products and pet images and things like that. So I just wanted to let you know that we really love pets in the UK. Do you love pets in your country? Do you have pets in your house? Do your friends have pets? How much do pets affect your life? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. Pets, do they affect you? Do you feel connected to them? Let me know. Mascotas. I want to know. Let me know in the comments. All right, that's it for today. See you next video. Have a good time. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye for now.